Hello, and you've tuned into CNBC TV18. You're watching Your Stocks coming live from the CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Vinny Motiwala. Thank you so much for tuning in. While we've seen a lot happening over the last couple of days in terms of the Operation Sindoor, and we've seen the cross-border firing between India and Pakistan, today the Indian markets, as of now, are down more than 200 points. Nifty is at 23,987 levels is what we're seeing, down almost 1% in today's trading session. Bank Nifty down 1.4%. Mid-cap also seeing a fall of around 0.5% in today's trading session. While in terms of the small cap, that's down a sharper fall of around 1.25 to 1.3% is what we're seeing coming in for the Nifty small cap as well. So yes, advance decline ratio today clearly in the favor of declines versus advances that we've seen coming in today's trading session. Also, let's keep an eye out on PSU Bank specifically. Nifty PSU Bank, that's the one which is trading in the green in terms of a sector. Other than that, all the sectors are trading in the red. So in PSU Bank specifically, if you're looking at it, Union Bank, Canara Bank, Bank of India, other names that are managing to see some bit of a good up move in today's trading session. More than 1% of up move is what we're watching out there. Real estate, banking names, pharma, FMCG, all of them continue to be in the red. So that's something that we'll be watching an eye, keeping an eye out on in today's trading session. While in terms of volume movers, we have volumes coming in for BEL as well. Look at that defense name coming in for BEL. That's managing to hold on to gains of 2.65%. HAL, that's another one that we should keep an eye out on in today's trading session. HAL also is managing to hold on to gains of almost 1 to 2% in today's trading session. So as of now, we'll surely be keeping an eye out on what is going on at the LOC. What happens between India and Pakistan going forward as well will be key to watch out for in terms of market. But on that note, let's bring on board the experts for today. We do have Vaishali Parekh, Vice President, Technical Research, Prabhudas Lilladher, joining in with us. And from a short while from now, we'll also have Shahina. Okay, Shahina is here with us as well. So Shahina Mukadam, Independent Market Expert, is also there with us. Vaishali as well as Shahina, good afternoon. And thank you so much for joining in with us. You know, today does merit in terms of actually checking on what is going on in the markets, right? And Shahina, as investors, you know, you do fear such a time. Markets feel a bit nervous as well. What would you suggest in terms of a market view that is coming in? What should one be doing right now?
I would say that remain invested, but select your portfolio carefully. I would prefer large cap stocks where the valuations are reasonable, not extremely expensive. And also you could look at certain sectors that will do well either ways. You could look at something like banking, you could look at something like defense. So you have areas where you could be in, and specific stocks also. You can see today the ones that are doing well, those are the ones that likely will actually remain steady over the medium to longer term.
Okay. And Vaishali, afternoon, what is your view coming in for the markets as well? Are there any levels that you are tracking or one should track as well for, you know, if it falls below the level, maybe we could see a further downside, or anything that you're keeping an eye out on in terms of the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty?
Definitely. Good afternoon, everyone. And I must say salute to our Prime Minister and our Indian Force and Army that we are not battered so badly. Our market is quite well within our range. We were looking at 23,800. And today when we saw, well, market did open with a gap down and we are sustaining the immediate support levels of 23,800. We saw a low of 23,950 or so. And I think so if this is sustaining, we are well within the range. But if we do fail to break these levels, then I think there would be a further downslide. And I'm looking at, of course, we have already suggested defense to our clients, and we are looking at stock specific. So right now it's PSU banking stocks that are doing well. So those are the stocks that we would be looking at. And Bank Nifty also is holding on very well. 52,500, if 53,000 levels break, we would look at 52,500. But the trend is not damaging so far.
Okay. Trend as of now is not damaging. Keep an eye out on those levels that Vaishali mentioned as well. On that note, ladies, let's get started with the stock-related queries that we have for y'all coming in. The first query today we have is coming in from Mahantesh Gogi, who's writing to us from Pune. He's holding 10 shares of Stovecraft. This is for a long time period, he was saying, and needs advice whether he should stay invested in the stock or choose a different stock for the next 4 years. That's his query coming in. So this is an investment query. price is not mentioned as of now of the viewer as well. So that's what we'll keep an eye on. But China, what's the view coming in for Stovecraft as a long-term story?
See, the stock has corrected quite substantially. If you see in the last, I would say 3 months, 25%, which is quite a bit. After this correction, I think valuations have become quite decent. It's 1 year forward, FY27, MCAP to sales is about 1 time, which is not expensive. And they are expanding their product portfolio. They have got Pigeon brand. They have also tied up with IKEA for sales and also their own stores. They are expanding that. So I think you can hold.
Okay, continue to hold Stovecraft. Vaishali, your view coming in on the charts and technicals for Stovecraft. Long-term story, does it stay intact? Or, maybe they can switch to another stock if they have a long-term view?
Well, so I'm still not convinced. Only consolation is that the stock has corrected right from 950 to 578 levels, and it is currently even on a daily chart deep oversold. So there is a chance of a bounce back. Unless and until we see this stock moving above 750 and sustaining above that, it could be just a bounce back. So, well, now that the stock has been so battered, I think hold on with 540 as stop loss, and let's see, wait for a bounce, and then we can evaluate.
Okay. Let's just take a quick check at Kirloskar Ferrous. That's the one that just come out with its numbers right now. Revenue seeing a growth of 13%. EBITDA is up 21.7% on a year-on-year basis, coming in at 201 crores. Profits have seen a sharp jump up as well. Margin somewhere at 11.6% versus 10.8%. And if you just pull up the stock also right now, it's just seen a spike up coming in. It was up 7% at one point of time. Look at it now, also holding on to gains of 6.5%. Bit of a cooling off, but after the earnings, we did see a spike up coming in. Keep an eye out on Kirloskar Ferrous. Let's move on to the next query then, ladies. We have the next query coming in from Soni Kohli, who's writing to us from Mumbai. She's holding 105 shares of PG Electroplast, and this is at a price of 620 rupees per share. Wants to know whether she'd continue to hold PG Electroplast or, book out her profits and look at something else. Shahina, your view coming in for PG Electroplast. There's a lot that has happened also for PG Electroplast in the recent times as well, right, in terms of PLI, and we had seen that run up. So what is the view now for PG Electroplast?
Yeah, actually, if you see the last couple of quarters have been very good. One is, of course, PLI is a positive for them. Secondly, they did very well if you see the third quarter numbers. So to that extent, that is something that supports it. But now we have the numbers coming out on Monday. Now, after this very strong performance, I think numbers will be slightly subdued for the fourth quarter. And actually, if you see, they have raised a lot of funds at much lower levels about 2 years back, 164 price levels. So to that extent, they have got funds to invest. At the same time, I would say that since the investor is making good money, she can hold, but keep a stop loss, keep something like a 700 rupees of stop loss. So if it goes below that, she can exit, but otherwise you can continue to hold.
Okay, continue to hold 700. Below that, if it goes, then you can look to exit. Vaishali, your view coming in for PG Electroplast. The only thing is that when you look at it in terms of a chart, 300% uptick in just the last 1 year, right? So does it merit just to book out your profits now?
I don't think so. So technically also it matches the same parameters. So if you look at it even at a weekly chart, the long-term trend is intact, and currently it's just consolidating between 700 to 950 levels. So unless and until there is a decisive break on either side, so for now I would definitely suggest hold with a stop loss of 700 and wait for a bounce at least up to 950,000. And further strength will be witnessed only about 1,000 levels to look for higher targets. So in my opinion, one should hold on at these levels.
Hold on at these levels. That's the view coming in for overall in terms of PG Electroplast. Let's move on to the next query. We have Ravi Kumar writing to us from Bangalore, who's saying that he's holding 500 shares of Bajaj Finance. Price is 9,050 rupees per share, currently making a loss on this one. Shahina, your view coming in for Bajaj Finance. Should they continue to stay invested in this one? Should they exit right now, book out their losses, look at some other, NBFC name? What's your view?
I would say hold for now. There is the 4:1 bonus, which will be, we'll have the ex date very soon. So you have, valuations also about 4.5 times price to book, which is expensive. But currently, you can continue to hold. The numbers that came out were, they were more or less in line. NIMs were a bit soft, but at the same time, you had PAT of 17% higher, net interest income 23% higher. So I think it's okay. Like you can continue to hold, keep a stop loss, and hold at least till the bonus, till it goes ex bonus.
Okay. And your view coming in, Vaishali, in terms for Bajaj Finance, should the viewer continue to hold or maybe just book out right now of your losses and look at something else?
So depending on the time period that the person is wanting to hold, because if it's for near-term basis, I see a little bit of a corrective move coming in, and this can slide towards 8,400. 8,400 should be taken as a very crucial support. That would be the make or break level. So if he's a trader, then 8,400 is a level to watch, and otherwise for long term, I would say hold on.
Okay, long term, then hold on. Otherwise, in the short term, if you're keeping an eye on, keep an eye out on the levels of 8,400 is what Vaishali is highlighting for Bajaj Finance. Let's move on to the next query. We have Sobina, who's writing to us from Mumbai, holding 500 shares of Piramal Pharma. Price is 75 rupees. So making a good amount of profit on this one. Wants to know if she should continue to hold the shares for the next 5 years and ask the prospects of her investment going forward as well. Piramal Pharma, what is your view coming in overall, Shahina, in terms of Piramal Pharma? It's one of those players that is obviously there in terms of the CDMO side as well. What should they be keeping an eye out on now? Is the story that something still has to play out? Because she's making a decent amount of profit here.
I would say it is better to switch. As of now, you can relook at the stock maybe a couple of quarters down the line. Couple of reasons. As you mentioned, CDMO is a very good space to be in for the long term. That having said that, the near term looks pretty, suspect in terms of performance. Last quarter numbers were, of course, affected by whatever they had some restructuring that they've done in terms of their portfolio. US FDA has had they inspected the facility somewhere in February, and they had 6 observations. So all these factors could keep their numbers depressed. I think given the numbers next week, 14th of May, if I'm not mistaken, that also I do not expect too much. So I would say it's a switch. There are better pharma stocks available. We had Biocon. So you have things like, stocks which are coming out with better numbers, more stable. So it's a switch.
Okay, it's a switch coming in from Piramal Pharma. Even there's something like a Biocon that China mentioned. Vaishali, your view coming in for Piramal Pharma. While obviously 1 year, it's a positive up move we've seen, but since somewhere around November and later that, we've seen a decline coming in for the stock, right? Piramal Pharma, your view, should she just get out and book her profits?
So I would say, of course, short-term chart does show some corrective move and a weakness. But when I'm looking at a long-term, because since the horizon is for 5 years or so, I would say it's a good consolidation going on between 100 to 220 levels. Once you see a clarity of the stock moving above 220, I think it's back on track to look at higher targets of 280 to 300. So in my opinion, one should hold. If it shows strength above 220, please go all out and continue holding to look for higher targets.
Okay, continue holding to look for higher targets. That's what we're coming in for from Vaishali. But on that note, we're going to step into a very short break, and after the break, we'll continue with more of your stock-related queries. Stay tuned in for that. Welcome back to Your Stocks on CNBC TV18. We still have with us Shahina Mukadam as well as Vaishali Parekh to answer all your stock-related queries. Let's move on to the next query for today. This is coming in from Sujata, who's writing to us from New Delhi. Holding 6,000 shares of REC. Price is 120 rupees per share. She's making a profit on this one. Wants to know the future outlook of the stock. Shahina, we did have the earnings that came out as well in terms of REC a couple of days back. We had decent numbers coming in from the company, 37% uptick in terms of the NII, profits seeing a growth of around 5.5%. And we had a note that came in from CLSA also, which indicated A 35% more uptick post their earnings as well is what they were expecting for REC. Are you also still bullish on REC? Do you think there's still more room for upside here?
I think if you're looking at a short to medium term, you can take part profits off the table. While, as you mentioned, that the revenue growth was quite good. If you see the PAT, it was impacted by higher provisions. So to that extent, it was a single digit, something around 7% growth in profits. While the balance sheet is improving and the management has indicated that, they are looking to actually be completely, free of NPAs. At the same time, I think it is better that given the valuations, which are not too expensive, 1.4 times, but since the investor is making some money, I think it's better to take some profits off the table.
Okay, better to take some profits off the table. Your view coming in, Vaishali, for REC, would you also say time that the viewer actually books some of her profits because she's bought it at 120 rupees per share?
Technically, too, it is showing weakness, and I would say so because seeing the choppiness and the volatility in the market, this can get into further corrective move. This can go towards 360, 340. There's a prominent support band coming between 360, 340. So I would say yes, either keep it stop loss or book partial profit.
Okay. Put a stop loss or a partial profit? And Vaishali, what would be the stop loss at level? What should they
I would
maintain?
say stop loss would be at around 378.
378. Okay, keep a stop loss for 378. So, or book out partial profits. Let's move on to the next query. One MobiKwik, that's the stock we'll talk about. Radhika Taneja is writing to us from New Delhi. Holding 100 shares of One MobiKwik Systems, this is at a price of 250 rupees per share. Wants to know whether she can hold her shares for the long term. A long-term story for One MobiKwik. What's your view, Shahina?
I would say it is better to switch. The stock has actually been coming off right from the time of its listing. I don't see too much of change, it going back even to those levels for quite some time. One is, of course, that they are making losses. Two is, they are looking to expand into other lines of business like stockbroking, etc. And their own core business is actually seeing some bit of softness. So I think there are a lot of better stocks available at current levels. You could switch at these declines to some of the larger banks, smaller banks. I would say it's a switch.
Switch. Vaishali, I don't know whether you'll have a view because it's just listed very recently in December. So anything you have for One MobiKwik?
Yes, Vinny. So from the data that I have, there is no positive trade right now. It's continuously making new lows, and there is no sign of exhaustion also as far as the selling is concerned. So I would say yes, please do.
Okay. Similar views coming in from both our experts. Let's move on to the next query. We have Shaili Kapoor, who's writing to us from MP, holding 50 shares of Bharat Forge. This is at a price of 500 rupees per share. Wants to know whether to stay invested or book the profits from the stock. Shahina, your view coming in for Bharat Forge. We did have the numbers also that came in yesterday as well. So what are you keeping an eye out on?
Yeah, the numbers were quite steady. Despite, see the last quarter being a difficult quarter with so much happening in terms of tariffs. And we do know that Bharat Forge also exports to the US market. Now things are settling there. We have this positive headwind, both in terms of US as well as UK tariffs that have now, being clarified and should be good for Bharat Forge. Secondly, it's into defense. And, they are likely to see better orders coming in over the next couple of quarters. So they have got strong headwinds. And so I think FY26 will be a better year for them. So it's FY26 and as well as 27. So it's better to hold as of now. And you could see better levels.
Okay, you could see better levels and continue to hold. FY26 could be a better year is what China is highlighting. On the technicals also, does that indication come in for Bharat Forge, Vaishali?
In fact, I would recommend a buy because the stock is corrected right from 1800 levels, and technically it is showing signs of revival. Today's volume has been exceptionally high, and it is picking up right from a cluster of support of moving averages. So I would say 1100 is the support, and I think near term this stock can rally up to 1300. Once we see the stock moving above 1300 and sustaining, this could show us further strength. So either add more or buying is a good level to buy.
Absolutely. It's a good level to buy coming in as well. So other than holding, don't book out your profits for sure. They're expecting a better up move coming in for Bharat Forge from here on as well. Let's move on to the next query. This is coming from Ritu Jain, writing to us from Bhopal, holding 80 shares of Eternal, previously known as Zomato. This is at a price of 220 rupees per share. So right now the stock is still trading around the price that she's bought. Asking whether she should stay invested or maybe switch to some other company or any other profitable stock. Shahina, your view?
I would say you can partly, but it's close to a buying price. So she can take, I would say, switch part of it out from Zomato, Eternal. Basically, we saw the last quarter numbers, the fourth quarter numbers, where the GOV did show some bit of a slowdown. And also the competition is really hotting up. So to that extent, I think it would be better to just partly move into some other sector also, something like a defense banks that we spoke about.
Okay. Look at other sectors. Can book partial profits is what Shahina is saying. On the technicals, Vaishali, your view for Zomato?
I would say hold. This stock can show strength going up to 240, 260. So that is a level, book partial profit, and then we can have a deal.
Okay, book partial profits is what even Vaishali is saying. Let's move on to the next query for today. We have Vandana Nair writing to us from New Delhi. She wants to know if she can buy shares of Tata Tech at the current levels. Shahina, your view coming in for Tata Technologies as an investment strategy?
I would say it's better not to buy Tata Tech as of now. The numbers were a bit disappointing. To add to it, valuations are very expensive. If you look at price to book at 8 times, P is 40 times. So there are other stocks, even in the same group, that you can look to add if you're looking to add for the long term, something like a TCS also. So I would not advise buying Tata Tech as of now.
Okay, wouldn't advise buying Tata Tech as of now. Look at other companies that China mentioned. Vaishali, your view for Tata Tech?
Well, so technically the view differs a bit because I think the stock is coming out of the woods, and well, it has to be taken it as a calculated risk. 600 is the support, so the risk reward ratio also from here on would be favorable. Currently it's 663, and if the view goes right, this can give a bounce up to 750 to 850 levels. So yes, I think one can take a chance. Technically, I think it's coming out of that exhausted area of selling pressure. It's showing signs of revival. 600, I maintain a stop. Below 600 is a stop.
Okay, keep an eye out on those levels. On the technicals, a bit of a different story is what Vaishali is highlighting for Tata Tech versus the fundamental side. So keep an eye out on Tata Technologies. But that was the last query for today, ladies. Thank you so much, Shahina, as well as Vaishali, for joining in with us on the show and helping our viewers answer and solve all their stock-related queries. And viewers, thank you so much for sending in your queries. We'll wind down this edition of Your Stocks. But don't go anywhere. Up next, you have Closing Bell to take you through the last hour of trade.